You're listening to a RALIANCE podcast, conversations and insights about our efforts to end sexual violence in one generation.
Hi, I'm Cordelia Anderson. I'm the parent of young adult son and daughter, and I have been working to promote sexual health and prevent sexual harm since 1976, so you can do the math. It's been a long time. Today, I have the opportunity, thanks to NERI's Parent-to-Parent program, to talk to you and to other parents about pornography. Now, it's not easy for a lot of parents to talk about sex and sexuality, much less pornography, but it is important. And I'm really hoping that this information I have about the impact that pornography has on children and youth will help us to have some of the conversations that you need to be able to have. And if you're a parent who thinks about pornography as magazines full of naked images of women, today's pornography is very different, and one of the main reasons is technology. Technology has changed everything. The ease of access to younger and younger children is one of the big concerns. Another concern is that even by the pornography industry standards, most of the content in today's pornography is what we used to call hardcore, and that's hardcore in terms of violent and degrading in its images and in its language. Another concern is that even though we're talking about adult legal pornography, there are a lot of references to teens in it. In fact, teen is one of the top search for types of pornography. And there's a lot of references to things that I would think of as sexual abuse, like incest porn, or sex with my teen babysitter, or sex with my student. So the pornography industry says that, well, really, it's up to parents to just do a better job supervising our children and to put on better filters. And the reality is, parents have a lot of power. There is a lot that we can do. I was originally taught, I was trained that pornography is harmless. It's just sex. And in fact, it's a great sexual aid when couples are having problems with sexual arousal. Certainly the strong message was that if I was okay with sex, then I needed to be okay with porn. Since that time, I've learned a lot about sexual abuse, sexual violence. I've really watched the research, and I've learned that while that's what the pornography industry and its defenders want us to believe, it's simply not true. The pornography industry has a formula in its main heterosexual dominant pornography, which I'm going to be talking about mostly today. And that always shows men as having power over women, what is often called or referred to as sex, and it is actually acts that cause real physical pain. There's a lot of put-down language that in our real lives would be sexual harassment, and yet it's so normative in pornography as the language used to talk about women that it is no wonder there's so much confusion about flirting versus harassment and confusion about sexual harassment in the mainstream culture. In pornography, there's a lot of pain caused to women, and it is presented as if men are supposed to get pleasure from women's pain. And if you step back and think about it, one of the concerns there is that it's actually training the people who consume it to behave in abusive, exploitive, and violent ways. And it's not what we want our boys and girls to learn about gender, about sex, or about relationships. Educators for a long time have been telling us that if you want to do something really well, you have to practice. Whatever we do a lot of, we get good at. So think about what we're putting into our bodies and our minds. If you want to be a really good musician, you practice your piano, you practice your violin. If you want to be a really good athlete, you have to practice at basketball. You have to get out there and do your running. If you want to be really good at healthy relationships, shaping your sexual arousal from watching pornography is not going to help you get there. Now, curiosity about sex is perfectly natural and perfectly normal, and figuring it all out is part of growing up. So it's not a big surprise when our little ones search for butts, boobs, sex. They're curious. What is a surprise is what they see, and that can be stuff and explicit images that shock them, that disgust them, that scare them, that draw them in, that arouse them, kind of create this whole toxic stew that they can't unsee once they've seen. Now, we can learn a lot also from the studies of the brain. The neuroscience has a lot to tell us. And some of the examples of that is that we have mirror neurons. The mirror neurons are the neurons that help us to experience something that we are observing as if we were doing it ourselves. Think about if you're watching a scary movie and how you can take that into your body, and yet what was happening wasn't what you were doing, you were just watching, but we take it into our bodies. There's also something that's been documented in research called supranormal stimulus. And that means that our brains go to the bigger, the shinier, the brighter. It is bigger, shinier, brighter than what is real. Bigger, shinier, and brighter than like our real partners. The other very powerful newer studies about the brain show us that over time, consuming more pornography can actually alter the brain itself, can make a difference in the gray matter of the brain. Now, what else we know about that is the problem is not the nudity. Nudity is not the problem. What hooks people in and gets our reward systems going is that novelty, that drive for new and different. So I never have to be bored. I never have to work out anything with a real person or in a real relationship. Just click, 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 click to new and different. What else happens when we're watching pornography is what happens when we're actually having sex. And that is a release of feel-good chemicals. The thing is with porn, it causes a spike in that dopamine and other feel-good chemicals, a spike that is difficult or impossible to get in the same way with a real-life person. Because, in part, real people don't look, behave, act, or respond like that. They're being directed. They're acting. They're body enhanced. They're in some cases actually being forced to do what we see them doing. And from all of this, our girls are being taught that to be sexy is more important than anything else. It's more important than being smart, athletic, real. They're being taught to see themselves as sexual commodities and objects, as things for others to use. We're being taught to take it, and that take it means to take the pain, to tough it out. Don't think about your own needs. Same time, our boys are being taught to be the users and the takers, to take whatever they want from girls. That girls' needs don't matter, their wants don't matter, their consent doesn't matter. We can actually help our children to understand that many of the lessons that are being taught through pornography could actually be actions that are against the law in real life. Pornography and hypersexualized mainstream media is normal. It's normalized, but break that down. It's normal lies. It's not real, it's not realistic, and it's not healthy. So when our kids look at all of this and they think they're learning about sex and sexuality, what they're really learning about from pornography has little to do with healthy relationships, healthy sexuality, or a healthy sense of masculinity or femininity, when they should be learning about how to make real connections with real human beings and about emotional intimacy. They're learning that giving and getting consent doesn't matter. Being treated with respect or treating somebody else with respect doesn't matter. That doing mean and cruel things to someone else is actually sexy and it's a turn on and it's okay. We can do better. We can take back our sexuality. We can help our young ones to navigate all of these sexually toxic messages and teach them that just like the tobacco industry did, when it taught us that smoking was harmless, in fact, maybe it was good for your health, and it certainly was sexy, that the pornography industry is doing the same thing. They are profiting at the cost of our health. And we can teach our children that giving consent and getting consent does matter. That being treated with respect and treating others with respect does matter. That taking responsibility for our own choices and understanding the impact of our behavior on others and being accountable for that does matter. We can teach them that we want them to be able to speak up and speak out when they see sexually harmful images, when they hear sexually harmful behavior and they see that. We want them to be able to speak up, but we need to know and we need to let them know it is not easy to go against the norm at all. But we want them to get their information from credible sources that are accurate. we can let our kids know that we want their bodies and their minds to grow in healthy ways, and watching pornography doesn't help. As parents, there is so much that we can do just by talking to our children. That means we need to continue learning about sex and sexuality, and to learn about the abuse of sex and sexuality. We need to learn about pornography and technology, and we need to be able to have these discussions. It's not one big discussion, sorry. It's a lot of discussions ongoing where we talk and we listen and we learn together. Know that you're not alone. This isn't easy, but it's a lot easier when we just have conversations that are centered on our hearts, and there's a lot of resources that can help. Let me tell you about some of these resources. There are books that can help. I'll give you just a few examples. There are many more. Good Pictures, Bad Pictures, Not for Kids. Neary Press has a number of books, including my own booklet, The Impact of Pornography on Children, Youth, and Culture. There are also great websites. Porn Harms Kids. Your Brain on Porn is an excellent compilation of all of the research, much of which I've been citing here. Culture Reframed has a great new parents program. Fight the New Drug is good for you and your youth to go to watch excellent videos that summarize the impact on the brain. And hopefully you're having these discussions as prevention. But if you're having them because you're not sure or you're concerned about somebody's sexual behavior, Stop It Now has not only great prevention information on their website, but they also have very good information to help you understand how to deal with harmful sexual behaviors. And if your child has developed problems, Fortify Programs is an example of an online treatment program for young people that they can go through to help them to recover from that. So it can be a little overwhelming, but there's a lot of resources that can help. And let me tell you that parents, you do matter. Talking does matter, that you are a powerful and important resource. And guess what? I really believe that one of the big ways we can fight all these sexually toxic messages is with a very different four-letter word. And that four-letter word is love. We do a lot by letting our children know that we love them, we care about them, we want them to have healthy, loving, and meaningful relationships. And together, we are willing to talk and learn. So thank you for your time, and good luck with your conversations.